Hi, how's it going? Kind of wanted to do like a little check-in. I really hope you're doing well and doing okay. And because the world can be a little confusing. The world can be a little confusing and it can be exhausting and it can be one of those things that, really can pull you for a loop. And you can have these moments of imposter syndrome. I'm going to be 100% honest. That's how I'm feeling right now. I feel like a lot of people, when they talk about YouTube, when they think about YouTube, you get into these ideas of you'll have millions of views and you'll have millions of dollars and all of those types of things. And that's a fine image in your brain. But no one really talks about like the inner workings of what happens when you make stuff. Especially when you are a person that gives others information. Because sometimes I feel like whenever I'm making stuff, I get this like voice in the back of my head that goes, do you really have like the authority to like talk about this? Like you're passionate about it, yeah, but like, do you really know what you're saying about it? That question always like is in the back of my brain. Like it is something where I'm like, well, you know what? You're not wrong. And that voice can be kind of infuriating sometimes because you're like hesitant to do something because you're like, oh my God, like I don't know anything. But at the same time, I actually feel like it's really helpful for me as an individual because it helps me keep my ego in check. Now, all of us have egos. All of us are narcissists and all of us are egotistical. That's just a human thing that we have in our bodies. We have to be aware of them or else we become arrogant and entitled and it's not a fun time for anyone. When you have imposter syndrome and you think about it in that regard, imposter syndrome can be a superpower in a way because it can help you navigate things in a way that, makes you understand that you have limitations, that you don't know everything. You don't feel as entitled when someone attacks your opinion or whatever. And I feel like that's important to know, that imposter syndrome is both a good thing and a bad thing to talk about. And it can be a strength and it can be a weakness. You just have to be able to hone in on it and make that weakness a strength. That's what I at least am trying to do. I know that I don't know everything. And with me trying to cope with my constant loop of imposter syndrome, I also kind of got to a point where I've learned that my values have kind of changed, that the way that I want to bring purpose into my life has changed. And this thing that I created 3 years ago in YouTube has not become this main priority that I have now. It's kind of fallen down on the list. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm quitting or giving this up. It's just that the ways that I look upon this channel and the ways of what I want to accomplish are two different things, and I know that for me to be the person that I want to be, I have to look upon this as more of a hobby, as something that is more, this is me just having fun and just pushing my thoughts out there just because I like being creative. I like editing. I like trying to figure out how to do thumbnails and stuff, but it's not my main priority. And I could research, I could look at the audience, I could look at my niche and do all of this research and stuff. But honestly, that gives me more stress. It fuels my imposter syndrome. As I've done YouTube for like 3-ish years now, I've kind of learned that those struggles, the idea of what I thought YouTube was going to be and what it is are two completely different things. And the struggles that I'm willing to go through may not align with what YouTube offers. Me becoming a content creator is still up in the open. I meant the future doesn't really exist yet. So who's to say if 3 to 5 years from now, this blows up and whatever. But at the same time, I have to be realistic and be like, okay, we have to contribute to society in some other way than me just yapping on the internet. And now I know when people bring up the word hobbies, they think, oh my gosh, you're not going to be consistent. You're not going to do anything. A hobby to me is still a very big commitment. If I'm going to do something, I want to put as much heart and soul as I can put into it as I physically can. That is why I would do it. I see this hobby being very similar to how I go to the gym 3 days a week. And me saying that this is a hobby is more so we're on the same page. So it doesn't feel like, oh, she doesn't make polls anymore, so she doesn't care anymore. It's not that I don't care. I am a human being. I have a lot of things to do. Or, oh, she's making videos on musicals. Why is she making videos on musicals? It's because I just really like to talk about those things. I know it's not optimal to like growing the channel, but it makes me happy. And if something's a hobby, I'm doing it because it's an extracurricular, because I enjoy what I'm doing. You know, I have to say that since I've kind of gotten into the mindset of saying this is a hobby, a lot of pressure has been pushed off of my shoulders. That's really because I don't find myself like gravitating towards social media as much anymore. I'm forcing myself to read a lot more and kind of staying away from like other social media things. I'm not really watching a lot of content on YouTube anymore. I've definitely tried to stop like doom scrolling on the shorts page. I'm just kind of living life, I guess. So if it feels like I'm a little more distant, it's just because I'm mentally stepping back, because, you know, YouTube can be a lot. I just kind of wanted to check in, see how you're feeling and how you're doing, and give you a heads up on me, because I'm insanely terrible at talking about myself and being on the same page and communicating. So tell me how you're feeling right now. And that if that's a little too personal and you don't want to get into that, then tell me what movie or show you're watching right now. And yeah, that's all I got to say. So I'll see you when I see you next. All right. Goodbye.